Hello and welcome to AutoFocus. Mercedes-Benz has decided to launch both the GLB and the EQB together in one shot. It's just been unveiled earlier yesterday in the evening, and today we're here to drive both the GLB and the EQB. Let's take a look at the GLB. This is a three-row SUV and shares the same platform as the EQB, the MFA2, and this is a little shorter in terms of overall length, but it's a little taller than the EQB. The GLB gets that stance from 19-inch rims and a slightly higher clearance that it gets. The GLB is considered by many to be a mini GLS, a baby GLS. And the reasons are pretty easy to see because the design has a lot of resemblances that have been borrowed, that has been inspired from the GLS. The front, of course, as you can see, the grille, and more importantly the rear almost matches the GLS's tail lamp configuration, and the rear diffuser with the twin exhaust. All of these kind of remind you and point you in the direction of the GLS, which is a good thing for a vehicle in this segment, which is down below from the GLS. And it's going to be aspirational for buyers in this more affordable luxury category that the GLB will be looking to deliver. And of course, like the EQB, the GLB also is going to be targeted at young buyers who are looking for the versatility of a three-row SUV. They want the practicality of being able to convert a five-seater into a six-seater or a seven-seater in a pinch, and that's what you would get with the GLB2. And there's a lot of panels that shared between the GLB and the EQB, as you can see, including the front bonnet with that power dome and the side panels, the doors, etc. But there's still a lot more to it than in terms of character, especially at the front with the squared off headlamps and the very clear small SUV language that Mercedes has with that front grille. And there's a lot of that ICE design language that we've seen from Mercedes coming from some of their SUVs. Now this is also a vehicle that is, in my opinion, sort of like a cross between a GLC and the GLK, which Mercedes used to have. A lot of that slightly boxy shape, that tall stance at the same time, all of that coming through in terms of sort of like a mix between those two vehicles. But the GLB again has its own distinctive character. The light elements are different compared to the EQB. Even at the rear, the tail lamps are a little different, but it's got that nice strong SUV stance. But at the same time, once you open the doors, you realize that this is a three-row SUV, and it brings all of that practicality in terms of seating positions, in terms of its ability to handle more passengers, and at the same time fold down some of the seats if you want more space at any point in time. GLB is offered in three variants with two exterior packages. One is of course called the Progressive line, and it's offered with the GLB200 and the GLB220d. Both these variants are not going to be in the video that you're seeing right now, because these two variants were not offered during the test drive. But what you see here is of course the AMG line, which is offered with the GLB220d 4Matic. Other variants get a twin louvre radiator grille, and they get a different set of alloy wheels, and of course chrome plating in some of the parts that you see, with a more prominent simulated underguard at the front and the rear. In the other two variants, the AMG line is a little more subtle in its exterior design. And of course the special 19-inch 5-spoke light alloy wheels that you see here is what you will get if you buy the AMG line. One of the striking elements about the cabin in the GLB as soon as you get in is the whole sort of luxury premium finish that comes across. The interiors have a lot of SUV off-road character, lots of tubular elements, those classic wind turbine style aircon vents that capture your eye the moment you get into the cabin, and of course the combined screens for the infotainment and the instrument cluster. There's a lot of analog elements still there in the cabin, which is a positive for me. Too much of this touchscreen business is a little distracting for drivers in my opinion, and so it's good to see that the air conditioning controls still have a few analog features. The hoodless windscreen cockpit is something that Mercedes talks about, and it's good to see that being included in the GLB's cabin. The 10.25-inch high-resolution instrument panel and infotainment screen is again something that we've seen in the cars from Mercedes-Benz higher up in the hierarchy and price positioning. It's good to see that in the GLB2. MMI touchpad, wireless charging, smartphone integration, and of course a leather multifunction steering wheel. Some of these features will differ between the variants. For example, it's a leather multifunction sport steering wheel in the GLB200 and the GLB220d, whereas the one that I have been driving today, the GLB220d 4Matic, gets multifunction sport steering wheel with matte aluminum control panel and stitched Napa leather. 64 colors that you can choose for the ambient lighting, and it does look quite impressive during nighttime driving with all that ambient lighting, giving the GLB a very upmarket and premium finish. There's also multifunction, electrically adjustable seats for the driver, including a lumbar support adjustments, and of course seat kinetics for mild massage. The sports seats in the GLB220 4Matic that I've been driving also helped hold me in the drive downhill from Kodai to Madurai during some of those ghat sections where we had to take hairpins and some tight turns. It was good to be held by the sport seats. There are of course comfort seats in the other two variants available with a different upholstery package. The most versatile element about the cabin, of course, in the GLB is the way that you can fold on and liberate more space for luggage at the rear, or in case you do want to carry more people, it can offer seating for up to 7 people, including 1 or 2 children at the rear third row. Easy entry, relatively speaking, but there are some elements about the cabin that I would have liked to have been different. Car is also offered with 4 different driving modes, including an off-road driving mode as part of the dynamic select, which the 4Matic gets of course, and you will not be offered in the other 2 variants, the GLB200 and the GLB220d. Safety equipment includes Parktronic with 12 ultrasound sensors and a reversing camera that you can use. It also has nearly 7 airbags, including a driver knee airbag, window airbag, all the way to the third row. There's active brake assist if you want to use it. And of course, the GLB is a NCAP 5-star safety rated vehicle. So that there is the GLB's cabin and how it feels from the second row. This is a very spacious second row, I must say. Even for 6-footers, this should be a very comfortable and roomy cabin with enough legroom and enough headroom too. And I must say that there is additional adjustments that can help you get a slightly better seating position, including the possibility of reclining the backrest and moving forward and aft. So giving a lot of options in terms of finding a comfortable spot. The only minor quibble for me would be the fact that getting in and out is not as easy as it would be in some of the other 3-row SUVs that we have seen. It only folds and moves forward a bit, so then you would have to then squeeze through to the third row of seats. But Mercedes-Benz is talking about how the third row of seats is also being really targeted for families with preteens or children that can then be strapped onto the ISOFIX seat at the rear, or to find enough space for somebody who is about 4 feet tall or lesser. So with the third row in use, you will not find enough luggage room for an entire family who's looking at a weekend trip, unless of course you pack really light. But that said, you can fold one of the rear third row seats and get room for some amount of luggage like we have, and we'll show that to you. But this is where I would sit if I was being chauffeured for either to the office commute or for a weekend ride somewhere. Alright, so it does get a auto closing tailgate, and that there is the amount of boot space that you have. It is a fairly narrow band if you are going to be looking at storing only a little bit of luggage, just a thin suitcase and a couple of backpacks that will fit here. But if you want more space, you can fold down one of the rear seats and then you get an extra bit of luggage room for all the stuff that you might want to carry. The 1.4 liter petrol engine is paired with a 7 DCT gearbox, a dual clutch 7-speed, of course, as it is explained from the nomenclature, whereas the 220d 4Matic, which we've been driving, is paired with the 8 DCT, the 8-speed dual clutch transmission. The trim variants are also available over a wide range, including this AMG line which we've been driving. As you can see from the special rims that it has, this is the AMG line. There's a lot in the cabin too that distinguishes it from the other trim variants. This engine is probably the most ideal to buy. It's the diesel for people looking for that low-end torque that you would get. I mean, that is something that I've been experiencing this for the last few hours. Other engine on offer is the GLB200, which is the petrol engine. It's a 1.4 liter petrol engine delivering about 163 horsepower of power, peak power, and about 250 newton meters of torque. And that engine is not something that we've had a chance to experience today. We've been driving the GLB220d 4Matic. This is a vehicle that has a lot of options available in terms of colors and trim, both inside the cabin and in terms of choice of rims. The GLB then offers decent choice of equipment to shop for. The GLB that we've been driving today had a chance to experience with relative amounts of variation in terms of the tarmac that we've driven, and of course also the number of miles that we could munch with this. The GLB is going to be launched very soon. In fact, Mercedes-Benz has already started taking orders from customers, and this is expected to be in the price range of about 70 lakhs, which today, and in terms of pricing and positioning, is today about entry to mid, the segment or category, if I can call it, between entry luxury and mid luxury. That's where this will sit, and this is a great option for people looking for the versatility of a 3-row SUV. And the fact that it is getting decent amounts of equipment, even the cabin doesn't look in any manner shoddy or kind of whittled down in terms of the amount of premiumness and quality that you will get. The fact that it can be a comfortable mile muncher, and the fact that it falls into you and it doesn't feel big, is a big plus point for the GLB, as it would be for the EQB2. And the fact that it will be around 70 lakhs is a decent price point in my view. Let's hope and look forward to what prices Mercedes will announce for the GLB. But for now, that's what we have for you. And if you are keen on checking out the GLB, I would suggest that you should go to one of the dealerships of Mercedes-Benz in your city and check this car out. And if you're going to look to switch from ICE to EV and you're looking to go electric, the EQB is the choice for you. And that again is a vehicle that is far more practical than the other EVs in that price category currently available. So I would suggest that you go and try the EQB also out at one of the dealerships of Mercedes-Benz in your city.